before we start, I will send some greetings to all the friends who have been upgraded yesterday. There was the Kagami Biraki again in Hondo Dojo, and many, many people we know have been recommended for the next level. For instance, Yoma, he got the Nanadan, the 7th Dan, very beautiful. And Peter Menke from Duisburg got the 6th Dan. So congratulations. Carsten Möllering from Hildesheim, he got the 5th Dan. I will forget all of, there are so many. So, but very nice, and congratulations. By the way, Frank Noel got the 8th Dan. That's also quite a state, right? Well, we can start. Special greetings to all of you from Hiro-san. You remember Hiro was coming here for many times, and he was given the Godan, 5th Dan as well. And he sends greetings and also says thank you very much because of his training in between here. He felt like he got good support to even come closer to the understanding of Endo Sensei's teaching, and he says that had helped him to be promoted. So it's all his greetings to you guys that he could come here and train with us. So congratulations to Hiro-san as well. Hi. Bien sandato. Katadori. So. Okay, let's check something. Oh, sorry. So, here's the camera. We have to discuss a few ideas, maybe to remember our basic routines. And it's from both sides again. Same for uke as for tori. Silvia, may I can have you here, please. So, the ukimi, or the behavior of uke, should not change from the work of tori, correct? Because it would be pointless to study or practice something half of the time contradictory or different to the other half of the time. So if we are practicing or preparing this kind of idea, this thing here, for instance, of course, you remember, we don't use force or power from the hands or arms. We realign our body and use a lot of mechanics which related to the awareness of how using our leg work, our center, and how to make the shoulders very soft, the arms too. Now, this is the same for uke too. It should not differ from that. Because otherwise, what would you increase? If you are strong or firm, do you increase this, or do you want to increase this capacity, or soft and relaxed? You can't do both at the same moment, right? Now, for katate dori from uke side, I recommend the same. Arm and hand and shoulder is all loose, but of course, center and body is active. As we know, the leg work, the ankles, the knees, the hip joints are free to move always to all directions. The center comes down, and we can apply the understanding of to which direction we would be able to move the partner. As you see, maybe you can see, I'm holding with 2 fingers, and still I can find the direction easy, where to go. It expresses the same idea like here. Sometimes we do this kind of very soft movement and still try to find the balance of the partner by very soft connection. Now, for katate dori is the same. And I want to keep this kind of state in my arm, in my body, through the whole process. I never give up this idea. So if my arm and my wrist and elbow and shoulder blade, collarbone is all free to move, I have immediate access to, let's say, manipulate her balance. Now, if you do some movement, just whatever, and now I get stiff, I won't have this easy access. If you feel now my arm is like locked, not by lots of power, but locked in this joint. But if I take and open the joint and I take ukemi, of course, I can find the direction of where I can take her balance still easily. This kind of influence doesn't depend on if we are upright or not. It depends on how we use our body in whatever position. So from uke, it's super important, I think, that even if you get the katadori entrance for later Neikyo, that you don't stop yourself at some point. Of course, I have reasons to react to the atemi, to protect my face or my head, or I have to react to the shoulder action and the connection to the elbow joint. And I don't resist at all. For instance, if I do something like this and you start moving, and I said, yeah, come on, you have to move me, show me how you move. It would be the opposite of what I'm discussing, right? In contrary, I accept this because I still know what to do even from this position, by influence to the right direction without any force from arms, but by center and leg work. So please, just feel yourself. How is your status as uke? I would recommend try to do the same kind of soft but present work like Tori. It's much better to accept and then create the chance for Tori to find the right direction and the right timing and the right positioning. Okay? Especially in this way, in Ura. Okay? I move so that she can practice this kind of entrance. Because if I wouldn't move my upper body, or if I wouldn't take ukemi like that, it would be very difficult for you to get behind this point. Beside, you completely loosen everything, and then you can slip in. But I still feel pressure here, because both of us create something like tension. But if I release this, come back, one more time. If I release this tension and let my body move, you can study this way. Now, in this situation, of course, it's nothing to prove in terms of, can you make me move if I block you or whatever. It's not the question. It's just the form, the way how to take position and how to change position. Okay? Again, also for uke. Calm yourself, use your center and your legs, but make your upper body soft and flexible. Okay? Try again. Okay. Dozo nikyo. Okay. You can continue soon. Let's discuss a few elements here. Well, in our style of, in the sense, is kind of kata work, there are some parts what I'm sure you remember when you started to learn this form has dropped out or been different. Of course, it's also possible to integrate that again, but it's a little bit different. Mariano, onegaishimasu. I'm not sure how about your first techniques. At least I'm sure you two maybe didn't see that at first. What I've learned, what I've learned in the beginning was something like this. You know, we're very, very, let's say, martial or harsh, especially this into the elbow. It was called cutting, but many times it was kind of hitting. And this kind of, or even more, like pulling and with the shoulder and trying to stretch out Uke's arm. It's maybe effective in a way, but sorry, may I take Alphonse for a second? I could do that to you, but he's got a hand free. And that was something what we completely forgot at that time, because we were so limited in our ideas to do the performance, the form like it was shown. So I would never try to do that again, because I have both hands in action or away from him, and he's got free hand. Sorry, now I take my... So, but my first concern, as always, is her balance. Now, Atemi should be functional, even though I don't hit, or we don't bring the fist, but just the palm. My positioning brings my whole, now left side, the free side, to function. If I would try to do my arm first, and then come with my leg work, it's not functioning Atemi. It's something what would not create the same impact as if I would put a position and then extend. Okay? So check which order you take. Of course, first we get close, and then we put the hands in front. And that is an initial movement what should be in a very correct timing, because I need to take a spot what you would like to control as well, or what you would to secure as well. You know, I need to be ready to do that. Now, in this position, my second hand comes into place on the outside of the elbow. And here again, we practice the same idea of finding the most easiest direction to create kuzushi. Of course, in her position, in her hanmi, her feet are to this line. And to this line, it would be a waste of energy. But cross this, it's very easy. And it's not my hands activating this movement, but my center. What brings my hands to the direction where you lose your balance. If I would come back up, if I would try to push by my hands, you would immediately feel something like, yeah, it would make you feel uncomfortable or pushed. But if I use my center, my hands don't change in the quality of touch. Okay? So the same, it's always the same principle, just brought to a different position. It's not my hand, it's my center work and my leg work what creates kuzushi. It's not my hands, it's my center and my leg work what creates the function of Atemi. It's not my hands pushing the partner, it's my center and my leg work creating the form and the kuzushi. In Omotewaza, it's kind of easy to feel, because we can observe it. For Ura, it's a little bit more tricky, right? I'm not sure how you feel, but Ura, to get into the back or into the space where you cannot look at, it's kind of tricky to do that without pushing or without tension, creating tension. But the start is the same, I think. The positioning is the same. But where and how to turn without of pushing the partner, it's more difficult. And furthermore, of course, when I got her here, I don't let her standing up. That's good to know that you didn't do that at all. Because that was also something what we did earlier, you know, beside of cutting into the arm, pushing and taking the partner up, and then break again the balance. This was more didactical idea to show what to do and which position your hand is, but of course not functional. Now, we take the kuzushi, we find our space behind, and by that position, you actually lose your uprightness. And there we can apply the kuzushi, but I didn't want to do it the full way, because I need to also come to this situation. Okay? So check again how your initial movement of step work and direction of rotation of your center by soft arms takes the balance of the partner. And if you can find a way to get behind the partner without any hindrance by getting stiff or hard. Try again, same partner. Hey. Hi. Alphonse,お願いします。Alphonse, お願いします。So of course this version of Katadori Nikyo leads into the understanding for Katadori Men Utsi. Dozo. Okay. Okay. Please check this. Ja, ja, me. Mite kudasai. Okay, what was the topic on Saturday? Do you remember those who were here on Saturday? We said we invented the year of the eagle, the bird, because of its shoulder action. Actually, it's the year of the horse, but they have also beautiful shoulders, right? They need to move them also very elegant. Now, why I'm saying that? Because within the last couple of years, we were really concerning about how to use the center and the leg work, and often understood and said, yeah, we have to have soft arms. But a lot of times, we are unaware about where is the origin of the arm and what's all parts of the arm. And do we really soften and activate all the parts of the arm? As you already know, because it's not the first time that we talk about that, the arm is not only, let's say, hand, forearm, upper arm until shoulder. The collarbone and the shoulder blade is also part of the arm. And basically, it originates from the spine, right? And from the sternum. What's sternum in English? That's Latin. Well, anyhow, what's the English term of sternum? Sternum. Okay, I think that's an English sound. Anyhow, Brustbein, chest bone. Could it be? I don't know. Anyhow. So, already on Saturday we said, like, often we move our arms, but the movement actually just reaches until the shoulder joint and not into the rest of the arm, like shoulder blade and collarbone. And there is so much movement possible. I mean, we do that in our warming up, but in our techniques, often we forget about it. Now, if you think about little situations like, for instance, if you give Shomen Ochi and you receive an Ikkyo, if you would just rotate your arm by receiving the Ikkyo, actually that you immediately would feel some opening here. Okay? You see what I mean? If I do Shomen Uchi and you do Ikkyo, slowly I want to show. If I just rotate my arm, Ikkyo, Omotewaza, like this, it would be an opening here, right? To my face. But if I rotate my shoulder, try to reach to my face, I actually can close this line. Okay? So from ukesai, we used to use that. By the way, if we do that, of course, I move also my shoulder by moving my whole body. It's not only the shoulder joint loosening up and take a new position, it's also the upper body and the rest of the body as well, of course. But maybe that's why it turns out of focus. So if I move my body like this, it looks probably the same, but actually my shoulder and the collarbone and the shoulder blade was not at all active. Let go. If I stand up now, you see it's lowered instead of rotated forward. Now for kata dori men uchi, it's the same for tori. If I would turn around here and leave my shoulder low, actually, don't you feel this is easy for you to get in there? Again. It's almost impossible for me to prevent this arm. Of course, if you check that or if you feel that immediately, you could cause me some more trouble or difficulties or hindrance. So check if I really use my full arm to make sure this area is protected and mine. If you're just turning, if you're just turning hand and your elbow drops low, it's even worse. But even though here is not enough, you need to check if you're using the full, let's say, potential of the entire arm. That's why we said on Saturday it's the year of the eagle or the birds, because without this joint, they wouldn't be able to fly or steer. And that was an image what Matti gave us once, because where he lived in Austria, there was this bird show. And there was these eagles coming down from 2 kilometers top and then suddenly dropping down from the sky. They opened up their wings and stopped and were so elegant to fly. Now, check yourself. How much did you get here involved? And change the form a little bit. Dozo kokyu nage. Okay, check one more little advice, please. Joseph, could you just either sit on this side, because I think otherwise it's covering the foot. So with the tenkan kokyunaga, sometimes it's dangerous because the uke can hang with his or her heel into the hakama. That's why for this particular demonstration I lift it like that. Looks a little weird, but now just check my position. How much bend forward could you see in my upper body? Well, of course, there is, but I try to reduce it to the minimum possible. Therefore, instead of using upper body, I need to use my leg work precise and kind of the connection, the direction of the connection, of course. And you have 2 points of connection, your shoulder and your forearm or wrist. Both of it influence the partner's balance. For instance, of course, we know how to put ourselves into this connection so that her upper body is influenced to be tilted. And just let go this. And we also know how to, let's say, stretch out or take the connection from this arm, even though we just touch with the side and not with the palm, or we're not grasping, to, only this hand, to influence partner's balance. Okay? Now, in combination of both, I need to find out and check by my tenkan how to get behind these points so that I can make this kind of influence. Only if this happened, I can use my step work by moving my center to apply the kokyu nage. If I have not made her this kind of leaning or off balancing, it's very difficult to get the center in action. And therefore, we need maybe to bend forward and push or pull from upper body. So check how much by your turn has your partner already been brought into Kuzushi. Because then it's very simple and not necessary to lean. Okay, try a little more.
nicht bestätigt. Also beim nach vorne kriege ich ihn nicht runter oder sie. Schritt zurück.
Zum Beispiel. Eindrehen in den Kontakt. cool. Was auch immer. Hi. Warimasu. Arigatou gozaimashita.